All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The State of the Nation discussion continues here. My guests are with me, Honorable Professor Tom Ojienda, Kisumu Senator. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Hilary Sigei, Bomet Senator, Asante sana for making time. And Honorable Edwin Sifuna, Nairobi Senator. Thank you so much for making time. Now, there's a conversation about how does the country reconcile and how do people come together. There's some conversation whether the broad-based government is the solution or the new political realignments. But within the broad-based government, Senator Sifuna here had this to say yesterday.
Speaker, let me first begin by saying this thing called broad-based, I don't know where it exists. Personally, I don't recognize any entity called called broad-based. There is a government of Kenya Kwanza under the leadership of President William Ruto. Every cabinet secretary who serves in that government serves the Kenya Kwanza government. And I want to join what Senator Khalwale has said. Some of these individuals who joined government recently think they are there to represent their ethnic communities. That every time a cabinet secretary stands up, he tells you how much the Ministry of Energy has allocated to power projects in Nyanza. So the rest of us lawyers are sitting there wondering, Allah, so who is going to speak about the projects in Bungoma? Who is going to speak about the projects? Honorable Speaker, I have said on this floor that as a Senate, as a Parliament, it is the responsibility of all of us, irrespective of our political parties, to oversight the national governments and the county governments. Honorable Speaker, if there is a problem with a CS, that CS must account to Parliament as an institution, not even to their political parties or this thing monster they are calling broad-based. It doesn't exist in my view.
And then there's another one from OBURU Odinga, Senator as well, from Siaya. Listen.
And I'm pained, I come from Siaya, when my own governor stands up and says that, and he's annoyed. I don't know annoyed with who. He's annoyed. And he says that he just wants to talk the truth. The truth. What truth? Those who are annoyed, who think that this broad-based government is not right, they are actually vomiting on us from within. Why don't they get out and vomit from without? Because we want our party ODM to have a nice smell, and we want to move on with our people.
Sifuna, are you against the broad-based government?
Trevor, I'll repeat what I said yesterday, that there's nothing like a broad-based government. And when I said those words, I saw some people on Twitter tagging me saying, oh, but Sifuna, you signed a document, including somebody who's calling themselves a presidential candidate. And I just want to tell Kenyans.
You mind naming that?
He knows himself. There's somebody running around Western Kenya calling himself a presidential candidate. And I am happy that everybody who has declared that they are running for president is being examined on his past, his conduct, his words, and so on and so forth. But this one has no history. So I just want to encourage Kenyans to encourage that presidential candidate to read, to develop a culture of reading. So this MOU, I've brought you a copy of this MOU because it has been 2 months since this document was signed. And a lot of things have been said about what this document is and what it is not. This document does not establish a government. In fact, the first time that the president used these words called broad-based was way back in July. The first time members of ODM joined government was way back in July. It was not pursuant to this document, you know? So there is no government called broad-based government. The government in power is a Kenya Kwanza government led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, not Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto. So when you speak about this thing called broad-based, me personally, I don't consider the government of Kenya Kwanza a broad-based government. It is the President Ruto's government. So there are a few things I wanted to address, Trevor. As I've told you, this document did not form a government. Number two, Sifuna did not sign this document. Sifuna did not sign this document. If you look at the signature page of this document, it has two names, President William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Because I know this document inside out, I was there when it was being prepared. We were very tempted, Trevor. One of the things, one of the provisions of this document, on page 1, it says that this is not a coalition document. This document does not form a coalition between UDA and ODM. I was very tempted to include something that I see. Sometimes when you download a document online, you will see a watermark is put there saying, this is not a receipt. I wanted to put that watermark on every page to say, this is not a coalition agreement. Because as I spoke at KICC, I knew that we were getting ourselves into a perception war, that sometimes people are not interested in the details. But if you read this document and what it provides, it does not establish a government. Government was established in August during the elections in 2022, and the president himself has confirmed to the country that pursuant to, after what happened in June with the protest, he reached out to Raila Odinga to help stabilize his government for the intervening period. And these are things that are there and they are clear. Number two, I saw a report from the Standard attributing certain things to this MOU. This MOU is not what gave Raila influence in this country. Raila Odinga has been a presidential candidate by many accounts. He has won some of those elections. He's a leader of the opposition. He has been in politics for a long time. He has had influence across the country for all these years, and across Africa. He's a very well-respected statesman. It was not pursuant to this MOU that Raila now has influence. This MOU is not what made Dr. OBURU Odinga the senator for Siaya. The senator for Siaya was determined in the elections in 2022. Forget what the Standard is claiming. This MOU is not what made Winnie Odinga the Yala member of parliament. By the time we were going to elect Yala members of parliament, it was way back in 2022, 2023. This MOU did not exist. And Trevor, that is why we continue to plead with people. Let us develop a culture of knowing things before we speak about them. As I have said in public, my job really is to make sure that we stay the course. So for as long as this MOU did not establish a government, I am not in that government. I am not in that government. So I respectfully disagree with the sentiments that OBURU expressed there. And I have had occasion, because he's a colleague in the Senate, to sit down with him and understand. Even him, if you see that clip that you played, he was accusing Orengo of anger, but he was speaking with anger. So I asked him, what was the problem? And he explained to me that there were some issues. I think there was a meeting that Orengo attended in Bondo, and he said certain things that infuriated OBURU. And we have sat down as a leadership of the party to be able to resolve those issues, because it creates a lot of confusion, especially to us, the younger members of the party, when senior officials of the party fight in public. Now, allow me to say that the comments on the conduct of our CSs. Trevor, if you ask these three senators, the main accusation against former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, why was Gachagua impeached? Why was Gachagua impeached? Because he was holding a national office but forgot that he was the Deputy President for all of us. He was not the Deputy President for Central Kenya. But every pronouncement, every time he stood in public, every time he appeared in public, he appeared only to be advancing the interest of his region and his people. That is the reason why we impeached Rigathi Gachagua. So you cannot have similar conduct from members of my party who have joined government. That every time we see you in public, you are only speaking in terms of the so-called development that has come to your people. You understand? And we wove into this MOU. Hey, I'm telling you, people need to give me time to read this thing word for word for them. We wove into this MOU a provision here where the two leaders, President Ruto and Raila Odinga, will respect the identity and integrity of the political parties who signed this document. So when Governor Wanga speaks, and I want to address the comment that he made about Governor Wanga. First of all, it is fair for Governor Wanga to demand answers from the government on the killing of Ongondowere, because it is a responsibility of government to protect life and limb. Number two, when she speaks and she says this region, members of the public in this region belong to ODM or have supported ODM, she's defending this MOU, because this MOU requires that you protect the integrity and respect the identity and integrity of these political parties. What has happened is that under the guise of these so-called development tours.
Yeah.
And everybody can see that it is politics at play. These development tours are meant to win political support for UDA in Nyanza. And that is the reason why Governor Wanga was saying, you must respect us in accordance with the MOU that you signed. Okay. So, Trevor, for me, I am very clear in my mind. I am not a member of any government called broad-based. I don't know where it exists. The MOU that we signed does not establish any such government. So we are very clear in our minds as the leadership of ODM. And by the way, ODM as a party, we have allowed everybody to express themselves freely. In fact, there was a memo that came from Raila Odinga's office saying the only thing that is required when we have these opposing views is respect for each other. Okay. That you don't go after each other in a manner that is disrespectful, but we are allowed to have and hold opinions that are different from each other.
Prof.
Trevor. Let me start by responding from the last and then going to the first. On Governor Wanga. Governor Wanga's statement and why I take issue with it was to the extent that the FINRO, which is supposed to be held tomorrow, would only be open to members of ODM party because she said that she does not want to see any other person wearing any outfit, yellow outfit and things like that. Basically saying that UDA members or affiliated people are not welcome to the FINRO. Ongondowere's colleagues, Ongondowere, by the way, because he's a distant uncle, I know him, distant uncle, distant in-law, someone I know, has an extraction from Meru because he lived and did his business in Meru before he came into parliament. So he has close associates who are UDA, very close associates. I also know, Trevor, that in Homa Bay County, where Ongondowere hails from, there are very many members of the UDA party. The concern, therefore, is that when, as a leader of a national party, you try to lock out members of another political party, whether in competition or not, Trevor, and whether or not there is an agreement that says that parties respect their space. The respect of space for a political party does not mean disenfranchising members with other shades of opinion from either attending occasions or being part of the affairs of ODM. The death, Trevor, touches everyone. I think it goes beyond party lines. Whether or not you are in UDA or Jubilee, if you lose your life, whether or not I'm in UDA or ODM, I will be affected by that loss. And every person is affected. For instance, Trevor, the chair of Ongondowere's committee, the National Cohesion Committee, is from UDA. How do you lock out members of parliament from UDA from attending a funeral in Kasipul? So one thing Sifuna has done today is that he's not angry. He's very good.
I'm still waiting for some of the things that you are saying.
He's not angry.
Might anger me. Even what you've just said now, you are not providing context.
No, but I'm going into context. I'm going to context.
Provide context for the words that Wanga spoke. Yeah.
Yes, I am clear about the words. They could be replayed. He said that he does not want to see party, mixed party, yellow, whatever, in the funeral. But let me say this. The cohesion, as a leader in this country, I am a leader, we must ensure that everything that we say brings our people together. That cohesion will be maintained. In fact, in that agreement that the document is talking to, that has not provided a coalition. And I agree with him that there's no coalition between UDA and ODM in the document that was signed by His Excellency William Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. But that document speaks to an engagement that changes the framework of governance in this country. An engagement that brought in members of ODM, in fact, leaders in the party, into government. The Honorable Mbadi, then chair.
That's not true.
The Honorable Mbadi was chair of ODM, a former chair, leader of minority in the House. The Honorable Wandai, a former leader in the House as well, brought into government. The document, Trevor, created a new beginning. Yeah. It was a new beginning in the relationship between UDA and ODM. Because we never had cabinet ministers in the UDA government before June 2024. It was after the Gen Z invasion. It was after the arrangement that started a conversation between Raila Odinga and His Excellency President Ruto. So that arrangement was obviously an arrangement between two leaders of two political parties. So this document merely formalized an intention that was expressed by the appointment of members of ODM into cabinet. And I expected Sifuna to be in cabinet.
Why?
But even when he missed out, no, because you're a competent leader.
Oh,
when he missed out,
I'm a competent
no, he's a competent. when he missed out, my concern is, Trevor, had Sifuna been appointed to the gender docket, he would not be speaking like this. I can assure you. I can assure you. And he was due to be appointed, but something happened, and he wasn't appointed. Yeah. So let me tell you this: this document only confirmed what had been done before, and that is why I respect Senator OBURU. Senator OBURU is speaking from his heart. He's speaking from his heart. Yeah. Because he's philosophizing, he understands the foundations that informed the relationship between ODM and UDA. Yeah. So Sifuna is speaking to a document, but Senator OBURU is speaking to the philosophy behind the document. So that is the story that Sifuna is not telling, that there were arrangements, agreements, and other side protocols or agreements that led to this document. So as Sifuna says, he never signed any document, which is true. But this document has a foundation. That foundation is the unseen arrangements between His Excellency William Ruto and the Right Honourable Raila Odinga that eventually led to this document.
But will it
so this document,
leaders of the ODM like Sifuna have an issue with this?
There's much more. Sifuna is speaking from the document, but it's not just the document. What informs relationships between political parties is the understanding between their leaders. Documents aside, it is that understanding. And it is that understanding that will define whether or not His Excellency William Ruto gets a second term. Okay. And that relationship is what has seen the several inroads that the Honorable William Ruto has made in Nyanza and other parts that support him. Let me tell you, Trevor, for the first time since the advent of devolution, and last time I told you, Kisumu so far in devolved funds has received 73.7 billion Kenya shillings. Migori 70.1 billion Kenya shillings. And we see projects that are live for the first time. A region that is marginalized getting actual funds put into road projects that were never there before. A region that hardly benefited from projects. Now we see projects that will change the lives of people in that region. So Sifuna should not speak the way he spoke in Senate, accusing Mbadi of focusing on the interests in Nyanza, because he must focus on those interests, because we have been marginalized.
Okay. Doesn't that then bring in the ethnic?
It is not ethnic. It is the national question, the regional question. A region that has been marginalized must be brought to the same level as the other regions. And that is what Mbadi spoke to, that in dealing with the roads projects that were supposed to have been done during the administration of the Jubilee government and before, he's trying to bring up the region. For instance, the Lake Victoria road network, the one that will open the region, will not just benefit one county, it will benefit all the 14 counties in the LREB region. Okay. It will benefit all the way from Nyamira, Homa Bay, and all the counties connecting to Western. You see, Sifuna represents Nairobi, but he's from Western. So he should be happy that Mbadi is opening the Western region for him.
Okay. Is there a broad-based government or not? There seems to be a bit of a push and pull here.
Trevor, I'm liking this conversation because we are very objective. Listening to Sifuna and listening